For anyone at home with the recording and those live, make sure that you have a strap. With the strap, you can also use a dog leash. You can use a rope, a bathrobe tie, any kind of extension item. Good morning, Liz. So finding a strap of sorts, anything that could work there for that. In addition to the strap, we'll have a chair or a couch edge. Either are perfectly fine. If you don't have a chair or a couch edge, some blocks or a stool, anything like that will work, something that can add some elevation. And then additionally, for our second pose, you'll want a bolster, or if you don't have a bolster, a pillow, and then rolled up blankets or two other cushions that we can use, and we'll explain as we get closer to those. So our first pose, let's get started. There are two different ways to perform this pose. So we'll start on our back using the strap. And this one is probably the most commonly seen pose in a class, perhaps in a restorative or a yin, and you lay down, take the strap around the sole of the right foot and extend the leg up nice and long. Take that strap into the left hand and then bring the leg over onto the couch edge or onto the chair edge. Again, if you don't have a couch or chair, you can put it onto some blocks or a stool or anything like that. And we're looking to feel this stretch in the outer. You probably will only get a 5 or 6 out of 10 sensation here. So it's not nearly as intense as some of the other poses we have done or will do. This is a much lighter pose. So this is step one of holding this pose. And you're welcome to lower the support as you need. I'll show you one other way. If lying on your back is very uncomfortable, another way you can do it is to take a countertop, the back of a chair, the back of the couch, and you actually stand up. And then you place send your hips farther back so there's some distance and you're leaning on that countertop. Send your right leg forward and then over to the left. So we're scissoring. We'll call this scissors pose. On the back, we're standing. And what my body here is doing is it's not opening, we're twisting in. So again, we're twisting, turning in, turning our hips forward, find some length and allow yourself to lean. You might feel less sensation standing, that's okay. We're still stretching out, getting into the outer, the abductors. Stay right where you are, the timer is started. Find your pose there on your back or against the chair edge. And I'll just enter back in here. So we're holding this for our 5 minutes, finding the strap in the left hand and allowing the leg to come over to the chair. We're using the strap still just to help anchor. Relax through that left shoulder, allow the body to soften, finding that twist, that crossing of the body here in this scissors pose. Again, we're going to find our breath. So as we've been working the past few days, just going to shift here so you can kind of see here. As we've been working the past few days, we've been extending our breath, keeping it nice and long. So that leg is crossing over the body and there's some kind of support underneath it. We've been working with our long breath, a longer exhale to allow us to tap into our parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest, to soften the body, soften the muscles, to allow ourselves to feel the ability to release. And so really think about relaxing here. Allow the strap to do the work, allow the chair or the couch to support the leg as you keep that leg crossed. And normally when we think about hips, we think about opening the hips, going on the internal side. But we have all these muscles on the external side, all of these abductors that allow us to pull away and to open the leg out to the side if you're ever in goddess pose or wide-legged forward fold, or you need to step over something or around something. We use the external side of our leg to move and to function here. So we have the IT band running along the outside, and we are fully lengthening that out here. When we draw the leg away from us, it shortens as the leg extends out. So now we are stretching it out by crossing in this scissors pose. We're lengthening it. Again, time under passive tension. So allowing yourselves to stay for the time in here. And for some of you, that time might not be the full 5 minutes. That time might only be the 3 to 4 minute mark, might even be the 2 to 3 minute mark. And over time, through consistency, we incrementally increase the length and time of the hold. Let's come back to that breath. In through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for a count of 8.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of want to tell your dad, like, besides my own stuff, but like, before he
In through
goes
the
stuff,
nose for
Yeah.
4.
you know, if he's gonna throw out tools, like,
Yeah.
I'd like to look
Out
through
through the
them,
mouth for 8.
and like the umbrella stand and stuff.
Again, in through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. Keep breathing like this, in through the nose for 4. And out through the mouth for 8, or at least a longer exhale. This allows us to affect the vagus nerve that runs all the way through and allows us to tap into our parasympathetic nervous system that rests and digests. So important for releasing and extending. And this fascia, that connective tissue that we are directly working with right now, you can think of it like the white coating under an orange peel. So when you initially peel the orange, there's still that white film that goes all the way around the orange. You can think about that. A lot of people talk about the myofascial release. That's myo referring to the muscle, fascial referring to the fascia. And so there's that connection there. Again, thinking about that orange is a wonderful imagery, that white tissue right around the actual juice, the actual muscle of the orange pieces themselves. One more, 30 more seconds here. So one more full breath cycle, in and out through the nose. In for 4. Really fill up. Exhale through the mouth for 8.
What's that?
Inhale here, last breath in.
Hi, baby.
And then as you exhale for 8, slowly bend your right knee, gently bring that leg back through center, release the strap, and extend your leg long. We'll switch right away to the other side. So again, we're gonna allow ourselves to find some kind of support, a chair, a couch, a stool, blocks stacked up, the edge of a bed, anything that you have at home. Take a strap, a dog leash, a rope tie, anything you have, put it around the ball of the foot, switch the strap into the right hand, extend through that right leg, and then let the leg cross over to the right, find your support there. The rest of the body can soften and relax. For those of you who are taking the standing variation or who just joined, we have one other variation of this that's uncomfortable for you. And for this pose, we come to the same pose, scissors pose, but without the strap, it's standing. You find your countertop, insert the timer, and you lean yourself forward, step forward with the left foot, cross it to the right, come onto the pinky toe side, and stay here. So again, you can notice how my body is facing. Those hips are not open, we're twisting in. So it's again, twisting in towards whatever is supporting us, and we're softening here. Again, this is not a crazy intense pose, so you might only be feeling about a 4, 5, or 6 out of 10 on the stretching range. We're gonna go back to that original position, stay right where you are, keeping your pose. Allow that left leg to cross the body wherever you're at, whichever variation you are taking. So right above the IT band, we have the tensor fascia latae. It's another strong little muscle that connects and goes down the external side, the lateral side of the leg, and allows us to help open the leg out for many different functions of movement and walking. So again, we're working on the outer edges of the hips this morning in this particular pose. And we're allowing that tensor fascia latae to stretch, to lengthen. Something also to note about the fascia is while we think about that skin under the orange, we're not really stretching it per se. It's not quite the same where you like stretch and pull it out. The fascia can actually change and morph over time. And so we think about flexibility as something that is slow to come and slow to go. In contrast, strength is quick to come and quick to go. So let's say you work in the gym and you rock climb. If you've ever taken a week off or 2 weeks off, you suddenly feel like you're back at step one and you have to start all over from scratch and build up your strength again. Not quite the same with flexibility. With flexibility, let's say you did gymnastics as a child, you might still find you're quite open and flexible in those ranges of motion. And that's again because it is slow to come and slow to go, slow to leave. The fascia actually changes its shape and elongates. So that's why we talked about consistency the last couple of days. Consistency of practice is going to be more beneficial in the long term and actually give you more range of motion for a lot longer, more stability and joint mobility. So the long holds, the passive time under pressure, under tension. So again, that's one of our principles of working towards flexibility. Relaxing the body, another principle, relaxing fully so we can release and we can let that fascia start to become comfortable with this range of motion, with this new length. And we use our breath, that 4-8 count. So the exhale is longer than the inhale. Any exhale-centric breathing is going to have a greater impact on the parasympathetic nervous system, on relaxing the body, than if it was the other way around. So we focus on the exhale. We allow it to be longer than the inhale. And over consistency of practice, we actually bring that web, that fascia, that connective tissue, that skin under the orange peel, that skin above our muscles, well, not skin, the webbing above our muscles, to eventually grow and to learn about the new shape that we are trying to move it into and length. Let's come back to that breath here, in through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. In through the nose for 4. And out through the mouth for 8. In for 4. Out through the mouth. In again. And out for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. Almost there. Last breath in your scissors pose, in through the nose. Exhale all the way out for 8 through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. And this time, as you exhale, gently bend that left knee carefully and slowly return the leg through center, remove the strap and extend the leg long. Make your way up to seated. And we'll get our other props now for our final pose. So grab a bolster or the blankets and pillows. If you have blocks, you're welcome to use those as well. Anything you have too that mimic the same size. And then something to sit on. So I'm going to actually take the bolster behind me. And I'm going to lift my sits bones right onto it. I'm going to sit on the bolster, right on the edge of the bolster. So you can use a couch pillow, you can use a block here, anything you like, and then extend your legs wide, coming to a unilateral pose for the day. Allow the feet to go out, find length through the spine. Now, a couple things here. This can be very uncomfortable for some people. So you can take those rolled up blankets or some pillows or a block underneath the knees. Again, we are going to be here for about 5 minutes, so make yourself comfortable, allow yourself to stay and allow yourself to be in a position where you can truly relax. Maybe you're like, no, I've got a lot more room here. I can go a little bit lower. I don't need to sit on this. I can sit up straight. If you can't sit up straight without the bolster or something under your sits bones, definitely keep it. Maybe even add more underneath, maybe sit on 2 blocks. If you have more room, you can take that bolster away or those blocks away and keep the cushions underneath your knees. And again, okay, I can sit up straight. We're going to start the timer in just a second here. So lift and lengthen, find your position. And then start to hinge from the hips. We're going to draw the collarbone forward. So if we were to lay flat, our stomach would come right down to the mat. Our collarbone would come right to the edge of the mat and the head would be farther forward. So the head right now, we're not going to worry about. We're going to think about drawing the torso, one long line, forward, forward, forward. And then when we can go no farther with a straight spine, then we allow ourselves to round. And now here's where those blocks might come in additionally. So whether they're under the knees or not, you can take them in front of you. Give yourself a little tower and allow your forehead to rest on it. Let your arms soften down and relax. And timer is starting now, so we are here for the next 5 minutes. Again, give yourself the support that your body is asking for. I'm going to move my blocks just so I can speak more clearly to you. Have that knee support as you need, just to give yourself that comfort so we can actually relax and release into this pose a lot more here. Inhale, find length. And then exhale, sink your chest down. Let those blocks support your forehead. You stay right where you are. I'm just going to adjust so you can see this a little clearer. Again, we're finding that wide-legged fold. It doesn't matter quite how far the legs are spread apart, as long as they are wide to your range of motion and they can stay there without you struggling to keep them open. Also, we want to have that starting point with a tall spine. One of the reasons we do this is because you won't be able to relax if you can't even sit upright. And so we put a bolster or we put blocks or a pillow underneath our sits bones to help tilt the pelvis forward and to reduce the angle between our legs, our hips, and our spine. So you're up on a block, you're getting a reduced angle. If you're down off the block, you're much more at the 90 degrees, so it's harder to sit upright. If you're at home, you can also bring yourself right back against the wall or against a couch. So allow yourself to have that support and then rest yourself down here. Now, along the inside tract of our thighs, we have 2 long muscles here. There are a few others we're working on, but in particular, we have our gracilis and our sartorius muscles that run parallel to each other and help to bring the legs in, to adduct our legs in towards each other. And so now as we pull those out, we are stretching, lengthening those out. We soften the body and tune back into that breath, that 4-8 count breath. In through the nose for 4, out through the mouth for 8. In through the nose for 4, out through the mouth for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. Again, time under passive tension, gently reworking the shape of our fascia consistently every day. And a reminder, you have these recordings so you can go back and look at this and continue, make this a 5-day challenge into a 10-day challenge. Maybe repeat the 5 days and see what happens and see where your hips are at after that. Again, noticing your length of time. So if you've reached the point where you are done, gently ease out of the pose, mark that time. And next time you come into this pose, see if you can make the same time, and then incrementally over the consistency of your practice, start to increase that length of hold. Few more breaths again, trying to relax and take note. You might be feeling this in your back, feeling a little stretch out in the low back as well. We have a massive, massive bundle of fascia, that connective tissue really, really tightly knit there. And so you might be feeling a slight release and stretch in the low back as well. Perhaps even in the shoulders, depends on the exercises you've done recently or how they're hanging. But allow yourself to soften. Notice if you're tensing through your toes or your ankles or even your jaw. If you look in the reflexology charts and go into Chinese medicine, it's quite fascinating how interconnected everything is and the direct correlation between the hips and jaw. So there's a direct correlation there. So often you'll hear teachers say, wiggle your jaw. And in massage, I believe it's osteopathy and other practices where they're releasing the hip, they've noticed a lot of people start to wiggle their jaw or vice versa. Or if they're tense up here, they'll be tense down here. So it's a really interesting correlation. And you can give that a shot. If you feel like your hips are tensing, see if you can release through your jaw and notice if your jaw is tight as well. All right, last breath here, in through the nose. Out through that mouth for 8. Then slowly on your next inhale, start to lift yourself up. Take your hands to the right leg, bend that knee, lean your body back, give yourself some guidance to bring the foot forward. Then over to the left side, gently lift up, really support yourself. We've been holding open, so we stretched out the outer abductors and we worked on the inner adductors today. And tomorrow we will continue with 2 more poses. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you all soon.